So the full card list for OP06 is finally out, and we're going to talk about the purple cards next. So I already talked about all the other colors like the red, green, and blue in earlier videos. So now it's purple, and then after this it's black and yellow. I'm using the Japanese version of the website, crudely translated with Google Translate. But if I need to refer to all the other effects in the proper way, I'll refer it on the Discord. Shout out to the Discord translators. All right, let's move on to purple, starting with Vinsmoke Ichiji. So the Vinsmoke are a huge part of the OP06. The whole Germa 66 gang is here, and they are really quite powerful because Reiju is one of the leaders as well, and you have Judge as a super rare, Reiju is a super rare. So let's start with Ichiji first. So 4 cost 4000 power, counter 1000, and main Dawn -1. You can put this character in the trash. If your leader has the Germa 66 trait, play up to 1 7 cost Vinsmoke Ichiji from your hand or trash. So this is kind of the way that it works. It's like, you know how the Germa 66 transforms into like the versions with the suits and all, and this is essentially it. Case in point, Vinsmoke Ichiji. So you are using this as sort of like the something that you play out first, and then on your main you just Dawn -1, and then it henshins and transforms into the 7 cost counterpart that you can play either from your hand or your trash, which is really, really good. So the 7 cost 7000 Vinsmoke Ichiji is on play if the number of Dawn on your field is less than or equal to the number of Dawn on your opponent's side of the field. Up to one of your opponent's characters gets -2000 power during this turn, and this character gains a rush. So yeah, it's kind of like a mini ace in that regard, but you can essentially, I think that what's really cool is you can put a Dawn onto Vinsmoke Ichiji, attack with it for 5k, you've Dawn -1, and then you trash this Ichiji, and then you play out the new one, and then because you Dawn -1, hopefully you are the lesser Dawn than your opponent, then it gets all of the benefits. You can give something -2k, 2000 power, and then gets haste, and you can attack with it. You can attack with this particular Vinsmoke Ichiji. And the great thing is you can have it in your trash. So like there are cards that let you filter, and then if you can discard this, then you can just play it out for free. So that's really quite good. Next is Vinsmoke Judge. We've talked about this, but let's just briefly go over it. 8 cost 8000 power. Powerful stats. Dawn -1. On play, Dawn -1. You can discard 2 cards from your hand. You know, you can discard like the 7 cost Ichiji or some of the other cards from Germa 66. And then you can play up to 4 different character cards with 4000 power or less with the characteristics of Germa 66. Sorry for the crudely translated version, but that's the effect. So 4 cards with different names, so like Ichiji, Yonji, Reiju, and also, well, not Sanji, because Sanji's not in purple for this set. Niji. So Reiju, Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji. You can play them all out once you play out a Judge from your trash. And then activate main, Dawn -1. You can put one of your opponent's Dawn card into rest. So that second ability, I think it's just to have lesser Dawns than your opponent. So you can rest up. If your opponent has a Dawn open, that's great. Then you can use this to rest it, so your opponent doesn't play any event cards. But the great thing about this is that you can play up to 4 characters, all 4000 power less. So you are essentially playing out the base form of the Vinsmokes, the brothers, and then eventually you can use the effect to transform them and then go from there. That's pretty sick to me. So next up, we got Vinsmoke Sora. 1 cost 0 power, but with counter 2000. So Vinsmoke Sora's ability is on play, you may discard 1. If you have less Dawn than your opponent, then you can add up to 1 Vinsmoke family character with 4000 power or less from the trash to your hand. So, you know, it's a great way to get something back in the later game if you need a particular, you know, Yonji, Niji, or Ichiji for that particular situation, and you can, you know, discard a card, play this, discard a card, and get that back. However, it is a counter 2k, so it's really powerful in that regard. So definitely playable, and definitely the type that you would use for the Vinsmoke family / Germa 66 archetype. So this is Windsmoke Niji. I guess rainbow means Niji. I don't know. 3 cost 3000 power, counter 1000. And it's the same thing. On main, Dawn -1. You can put this character in the trash. And if your leader is Germa 66, you can play up to 1 Windsmoke Niji with a cost of 5 or less. With a cost of 5, sorry. Appear from your hand or trash. So it transforms into Windsmoke Niji. So 5 cost 6000 power with counter 1000. And on play, if the number of Dawn on your field is less than or equal to your number of Dawn on your opponent's side of the field. I think it's just less than. So let me just double confirm that. And then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, or return up to one character from your opponent with a cost of 4 or less to its owner's hand. So that's great. I mean, you don't even need to use it with like the transformation side of this with this card's effect. You can just play this out straight out and then KO something that's 2 or less. Or even better, you can bounce something that's 4 or less to its owner's hand. So very useful card for sure. I kind of want to see a turn where someone plays Judge and then just plays all of the untransformed Windsmoke brothers and then just have all of them just transform. That would be really cool. Next is Windsmoke Yonji. I think it's Yonji. Yes, Yonji. 2 cost 2000 power, counter 1000, and main Dawn -1, you can put this card into the trash. If your leader is Germa 66, then you can play up to 1 Windsmoke Yonji from your hand or trash and play it on the field. So there you go, Windsmoke Yonji, 4 cost 5000 power with counter 1000. Then if the Dawn, if the number of Dawn in the field is less than or equal to the number of Dawn on your opponent's side of the field, this character gains power 1000 and has a blocker. So it could be a 4 cost 6000 blocker on your turn. Yeah, or on as long as your Dawn is less than your opponent's. So that's great. I mean, like all of these have really cool effects. I just don't know how viable all of these can be because you have to Dawn minus and transform all of them. I think some are better than others. I really like Ichiji more than the other two, but yeah, it's quite interesting as well. So then another one is Windsmoke Reiju, 2 cost 2000 power with counter 1000, and Dawn -1. You can put this character in the trash. If your leader is Germa 66 or has the trait of Germa 66, then you can play up 1 cost 4 Windsmoke Reiju from your hand or trash, which is the super rare Windsmoke Reiju, 4 cost 5000 power with Dawn counter 1000. And on play, if you have if the number of Dawn in the field is less than or equal to your opponent's side of the field, and if you have 5 or less cards in your hand, you draw 2 cards. So all of these, you know, if you play out a Judge and then you can play out an Ichiji, you can play out a Niji, Yonji, and then Reiju, and then you can have all of them transform on the same turn. That would be really cool. How often you can pull that off, I'm not sure. It's kind of like Exodia in that sense. But yeah, out of all of them, I think Reiju is the strongest. I think Ichiji is the next strongest. Hence, this is why it's a super rare. But yeah, for the Windsmoke family, that's your whole go-to for this set. This is like, it kind of centers around Judge and all of these cards. So essentially, I think at the start of the game, you're just, you know, discarding cards, countering stuff, setting up your trash, and then once you play down the Judge, you bring everyone back, and then you transform them, or either from your hand or from your trash. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so enough about the Windsmokes. I think there's some other event cards based on them, but this is El Drago, 5 cost 7000 power, counter 1000. It's a vanilla, looks like a Super Saiyan. That's pretty cool. So let's move on to Guild Tesoro. This is a card for Red Purple Uta, 5 cost 6000 power, counter 1000. And on play Dawn -1, if your leader has the film type, you can add up to 2 character cards with a cost of 4 or less that are film in them to your hand. So you know how the original Guild Tesoro from the Shanks starter deck had you like Dawn -2, draw 2 cards. This is kind of drawing 2 cards, except you're taking 2 cards from the trash. That's 4 or less, so you can bring back like your Uta blocker, you can bring back some other cards that's 4 or less. So it's quite good. It refills your hand a little bit just for Dawn -1, so really quite powerful. Next you get Cosette, the poor thing. 1 cost 0 power with counter 1000, and if your leader has the Germa 66 trait and the number of Dawn on the field is 2 or more lesser than your opponent's, this character gains blocker. 100% unplayable. This is a conditional blocker that just doesn't work because you have to have specifically 2 or lesser Dawns than your opponents. just not worth it. Just play like a 2 cost 2k blocker in purple and that'll be great. It is searchable. Do we get a searcher for German Kingdom? We'll take a look. I haven't seen all the purple cards yet, but there you go. Next we got Shiki. Super cool artwork. 2 cost 1000 power with counter 1000 with blocker. And on play, if there are 8 or more Dawns on the field, draw 1 card and discard 1 card from your hand. Yeah, I think this is a really playable card. Especially in the late game, you want to filter out some cards a little bit and you want to have some blockers on the field. It's a cheap blocker that you can just like, chump block all your opponent's attacks and you get to filter out the cards from your hand. You can get rid of the cards that you don't need for potentially like plus 2k counter cards or strong cards that you want to finish the game with. This is a great card for the film-based deck for sure. I'm going to play like 4 of this in Uta for sure. Let's go. Next we got Zephyr. There we go. This is a really great card. I've been wanting to talk about this card for the longest time. So 7 cost 7000 power and on play Dawn -1. Negate the effects of one of your opponent's character during this turn. After that, if that character's power is 5000 power or less, KO it. So just a straight like get out of here Borsalino or something. But of course it's on play. Borsalino will be 6000 power. But there are ways you can reduce with Uta's ability. So let's say this is a great card to counter against the Sabo play, the Borsalino play. You use Uta's ability, discard 1 card, -2k to something, and then you play this. You nullify the effect that your opponent's characters had, which is like prevent it from being KO'd, and then you just KO it. So yeah, Zephyr, really good counter to Borsalino specifically, and also to the 5 cost Sabo and the Chapapa guy. Yeah. I love this card. I feel like having more nullify or negation effects could be a good evergreen mechanic for purple. Like certain types of cards. I think this may be them like trying to test it out, see if like people actually like it. But eventually they may introduce more mechanics like that. We need more mechanics for the One Piece card game just to keep things more interesting in the future. But yeah, Zephyr, great card, can't wait to play it. Especially in the film-based deck, just having a great removal for Borsalino, for Sabo, for against Sakazuki, that'd be really great. Next we got Earl Butler, 2 cost 3000 power, counter 1000. When introduced on play Dawn -1. Make up to 2 of your opponent's characters with cost of 2 or less into rest. So 2 of your opponent's characters that cost 2 or less, you can just rest them. It's pretty decent. I think maybe against like Red Green Law, for example, they likes to set up a lot of their searches and they won't use it, or like you want a chance to attack into them. This could be really good in that. So something to look forward to. Then we got Hitokiri Kamazo, 4 cost 5000 power, counter 2000. So that's really good. During your turn, once per turn, when Dawn on the field is returned to the Dawn deck, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. So it's, potentially you can play it alongside the 5 cost kit that lets you, Dawn return, you can Dawn, you get back the Dawn, and then in combination with like a Eustace kit type deck, it will be kind of cool. And then you can KO something that's cost 2 or less, which, there's plenty of targets for that. And it's a counter, plus 2k counter. Yeah, hopefully, I really like Red Purple Eustace kit. I just don't see it being used as much or at all, because like Red Purple Luffy and Red Purple Law are just like better leaders, but I really want to make it work, and this could be a card that could potentially make that happen. Alright, we are down to our last few cards for purple. Not a lot of cards for purple this time, so let's take a look at the first event, which is Color Mixing Bug. Pretty sure there's a proper name for it. So 4 costs, event card main. If the number of Dawn on the field is less than or equal to the number of your Dawns on your opponent's side of the field, place up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less on the bottom of the owner's deck. Alright, that's pretty good. Trigger, place up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less to the bottom of the owner's deck. Yeah, this is just another way for purple to bottom deck something, which is a blue type of effect. In Reiju, you can have access to like 3000 Worlds, Red Rock, and now this. That's pretty cool. And you will definitely have less Dawns. I think Red Purple Law can also use this kind of if they want to return a lot of stuff from your opponent's side of the field. They will have less Dawns than you. You can use this, return something that's 5 or less. and then use Law's ability to return something else that's 3000 power or less. So yeah, there are ways that could make it work. Interesting event card. Want to see where it may end up and what people will end up doing with it. So that's really good. And then we got Jerma 66, which is the event card searcher for Jerma 66. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal a Jerma 66 type card, and then put the rest at the bottom. And trigger ability is draw 1 card, not to activate this mains effect, which is kind of weird. It should have been activate this mains effect. I'm not sure. But yeah, there's no character searcher for Jerma 66 just yet. So who knows? Maybe next set Sanji will be purple and then it will be the searcher for Jerma 66, which is messed up, but it could happen. So in the meantime, you can use this. I love that all of them are together in their upgraded outfits, suited up. So good. And then lastly, we have a Jerma's Kingdom stage card. It's a 1-cost stage card with main. Activate main, you can discard 1 card from your hand and rest this stage. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 card with the characteristics of Jerma. Jerma 66, and then into your hand and put the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. So this is also another searcher. Technically, you can use this combination with Jerma 66 to search through the deck for the Jerma 66 archetype. Very interesting. It makes Jerma like almost a valid deck. I want to see people play Reiju with the whole Jerma archetype. It kind of feels to me though a little bit like the Baroque Works archetype, where it's just not there. Like it's an interesting mechanic. It's kind of cool, you know, like the Animal Kingdoms, Baroque Works. It's like, yeah, you can make a playable deck out of it, but there might be better options other than these deck. But still, a very cool stage card to have and a very cool mechanic for the Jerma 66 archetype. I think we'll get more cards in the future that kind of boost up the whole deck as a whole, but the whole transformation mechanic, Dawn -1, you know, trash this, play something else, could be really cool. And I really can't wait to see like what people build up with that, or people cook with for the Jerma 66 archetype. Anyway, that's it for purple. We're gonna talk about, I believe, we're gonna talk about the black cards next, guys. And this one I'm really excited about because Thriller Bark, baby. Anyway, okay, look out for that in the next video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.